walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the super-states that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Hello to you all. You're watching RHTVLive.
This is Mr. Romney Wordsworth. In his last 48 hours on Earth, he's a citizen of the state, but will soon have to be eliminated. Because he is built out of flesh, and because he has a mind.
You've been under investigation, Mr. Wordsworth, for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You're found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in the matter and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth? Your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth?
A librarian.
A librarian. Having to do with books.
Yes, sir. Books.
Since there are no more books, Mr. Wordsworth, there are no more libraries. The field investigators in your sector have classified you as obsolete. Your rights are as follows, Mr. Wordsworth. You are to be liquidated within a period of 48 hours. You are obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
A lie. No man is obsolete.
You have no function, Mr. Wordsworth. You're an anachronism, like a ghost from another time.
I am nothing more than a reminder to you that you cannot destroy truth by burning pages.
You're a bug, Mr. Wordsworth, a crawling insect, an ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions that you inject into your veins with printer's ink. The narcotics that you call literature, poetry, essays, all of it an opiate. You have nothing but spindly limbs and a dream, and the state has no use for your kind.
I don't care. I tell you, I don't care. I'm a human being. I exist. And if I speak one thought aloud, that thought lives, even after I'm shoveled into my grave.
The Chancellor, the late Chancellor, was only partly correct. He was obsolete. But so is the state, the entity he worshipped. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete.
Yeah, people, we are living in the twilight zone. Now, for the international audience, you have to really understand this. Over here in the Netherlands, if you have a certain age, you get like a pension, right? It's called the Algemeen Ouderenwet, AOW in short. The Algemene Ouderdomswet is a 1956 Dutch law that installed a state pension for the elderly. This law was a continuation of a 1947 temporary law. The old law was a proposal by Willem Drees, while the new one came about when he was prime minister. So there's a pension, right? Old people get a pension and stuff like that. Now, over here in the Netherlands, there's something going on. You know, I wrote it in Facebook in Dutch. I'll translate it for you guys. De nieuwe criminelen in ons land worden de ouderen. Noodgedwongen onder een krappe oude weetje eten te stelen. Koekje is te duur. So the new criminals in our country will be the elderly. You know, they have this pension that doesn't provide them enough money. Now, over here in the Netherlands, we had a few days ago, a week ago or so, there was this guy who was 80 years old, never stole anything. You know, he was like the perfect citizen. And this guy was so hungry that he stole some food. 80 years old. This guy's done nothing wrong in his whole life, you know. So, man 80 steelt kaas en ham bij Albert Heijn. Man 80 steals cheese and ham at the Albert Heijn, which is, a supermarket thing. Kom niet rond van een AOW'tje. Yeah. So this guy also has a pension, an AOW, as I've shown you guys. And this person, 80 years old, took some ham and cheese and, for 17 euros, 75 cents, he stole cheese, shrimp, ham, and other stuff. And it's very, very sad to see. So the new criminals in our country will be the elderly people. You know? Geen smoes isn't. It's kind of hard to translate. Doesn't he have an excuse for doing this? You know, that's the question that RTL News gives. We zien het natuurlijk wel vaker smoezen van winkeldieven. We see these excuses from shop thieves, but in this case, we are really certain that this is not that. You know, it's not. He's not trying to talk himself out of it and stuff like that. You know. So there you have it. And this cop, Rob Doorneveld, he arrested. Well, he didn't really arrest the guy. He gave like a. Wait, I gotta read something here. Yeah, he didn't give a fine or whatever. It's like, don't do that again. You know, don't do that again. So, yeah, this is the stuff that he took. Yep. So, very, very sad to see. You know, and yeah, a lot of people were like very responsive to this. You know, they gave the guy food and this and that, and it's very heartwarming to see. But it's also very heartbreaking to see that this guy, who no one looked at and stuff like that, it's very heartbreaking to see that this has to happen so that people look at what's happening. You know, it's very, very, very sad to see. And this guy is not the only guy having trouble with money. You also have this person here. Met alleen AOW kan Jobien amper rondkomen. Een koekje bij de koffie kan ik niet meer betalen. So, with only AOW, Jobien can't really rondkomen, come around financially, right? So she's also really digging trying to survive, basically. And she says, a cookie with a coffee, I cannot pay for that anymore. So, yeah, she has to make very hard choices, either, buy bread or buy some cookies. It's yeah, very sad to see. Er woedt een hevige strijd over de AOW in Politiek Den Haag. There's a battle going on about the AOW in The Hague. Juist nu veel ouderen erop achteruit dreigen te gaan door de stijgende prijzen. Now that the old people, the pension people are going backwards because of the prices that are rising. And there used to be like this thing, it was a certain thing which had like the low incomes, right? And the AOW was linked to the low incomes. So when the low income would go up, the AOW would go up, So, and now the low income is gone, basically. So there's no connection anymore. And yeah, it's very, very sad to see. Very sad to see that my country is going to hell in a handbasket. It's like, oh my God. So, it's very, very sad. And for the people wondering where I'm from, the Netherlands. There you go. There's my country, streaming from Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. And there was a big betrayal in Maastricht, the Maastricht Treaty. You guys remember that? Probably not, right? That's why I'm here to tell you what the Maastricht Treaty is. So we're going to look it up. The Maastricht Treaty. There you go. The Maastricht Treaty. Yeah, this was basically a document signed to have one monetary thing in Europe, just one coin, the euro. So this is where the heart of evil is. And we're streaming from Maastricht, as I've said before. So there's so much going on. The Netherlands had said in 2016, 2 years after the coup in Ukraine, which a lot of Dutch people are still saying, nah, that didn't happen, man. You're a conspiracy theorist, Even though Victoria Nuland is on the phone with Jeffrey Pyatt talking about Ukraine. But in 2016, we had a referendum not to arm the east of Ukraine, the Donbas region. Now, what do? We give a small notice, small letter saying, we don't want this, we don't want that, and it's amazing. It really is amazing, because after the coup took place, right-wing Nazi figures were in power in Ukraine. If you speak Russian or write Russian, you get arrested. It's insanity. Really is insane. And the east of Ukraine is fond of Russia. So therefore they speak Russian, you know. So we're going to take a look at Kharkiv. Let's see here. Russian foreign minister asks U.S. NATO to stop supplying arms to Ukraine. So there you go. We're going to take a look at this here.
On the road to Kharkiv, a line of cars full of people escaping the horrors of war, weighed down by their belongings and the memories of what they've lived through.
Our house was burned this night. The house burned and all that was inside. We have no place to stay. It is scary.
They're coming from the nearby village of Roskorozovo, which has been under Russian occupation for more than a month. Fierce battles saw Russian troops pushed back and Ukraine's forces regain full control of the village.
The basement was shaking from the explosions. We were screaming, we were crying, and we were praying to God.
But they're arriving in Kharkiv, which itself has come under near daily bombardment since Russia's invasion began. It looks less like a city, more like a collection of mangled buildings. Local fighters do what they can to protect their neighbours.
When your city is being destroyed, when your close people are being killed, there is no other option but to defend them.
But they say they feel helpless against Russia's fighting power, forced to stand by as missiles rain down. Ukrainians forced to escape the conflict are also arriving in Zaporizhia, seen as a gateway to Ukrainian territory from occupied areas in the south.
We all have relatives abroad.
These people never asked for a war, because of their politics. The U.S. was mingling into Ukrainian politics, and they put in a coup government. Now, the east of Ukraine didn't want to be part of that coup government. So, and Russia basically said, the Donbas region is autonomous. They can make their own decisions and stuff like that. And that's what basically started the war. Now, this is President Zelensky. Yeah. Very, very sad to see what's going on in Ukraine.
Sergei Lavrov says the West is at fault and that NATO countries are doing everything they can to prevent a ceasefire by sending weapons to Ukraine. Until a deal is reached, the fighting rages on. Alexia O'Brien, Al Jazeera.
They actually want to prolong this war. They don't want peace. Peace is on the table, but it's gone from the table. It's on the floor somewhere. They don't want peace. They want to prolong this war. That's what they're trying to do, and they're also trying to involve other countries like Moldova. Remember, I showed you guys Transnistria. There were like antennas and stuff like that were bombed, and some building had a big explosion and stuff like that. So they're trying to prolong this war and spill it over into other countries, like Moldova. So that's what's going on, and who knows, maybe some missile would fall in Lublin or whatever it's called here. Lublin. Who knows? And then Poland gets involved and stuff like that. It's a very, very dangerous situation what's going on here. So yeah, they're also trying to spill over the war into other countries. So Yeah, there you have it. That's some geopolitics. Not many people speak of geopolitics, because it's very hard and stuff like that. I don't think it's hard. Just look at what's going on. You know, look at what's going on in Turkey. There's a war going. Well, not really a war, but fighting going on in the east of Turkey, north of Baghdad. There's some real fighting going on here. The Turkish troops are fighting the PKK and stuff like that. So there's a lot going on in the world, you know. And let's see what Al Jazeera has to show us. Let's see. Because there is a lot going on. Cameroon water excess conflict displaces nearly. Yeah, there's always something going on. Now it's Cameroon. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at what's happening in Cameroon. It's in Africa. There you go, Cameroon. So we're going to take a look at what's happening over there.
In this arid land, in the far northern region of Cameroon, are fishermen and their families in search of peace, no longer catching fish but planting trees they sell at the market. At least in this barren land, they are sheltered from the violence they left behind, living in makeshift tents provided by the UN.
We have to survive with the little help the government is giving us, but we don't have any money. We can't work. We're surviving one day at a time.
This is what is left of their homes. What started as an argument between a fisherman and herder about a cow drinking out of a fishing pond turned into a larger fight for access to water. The violence spread from village to village, displacing nearly 100,000 people. Some fled to neighboring Chad and are unable to return home. They live in UN camps like these.
Of course, we need to make sure that people are not hungry, not thirsty, and they are not ill. But in the end, it's reconciliation that is the most important here.
Armed herders in Kusiri on the border with Chad search for water points to feed their cattle, fighting with fishermen and farmers unwilling to share their wells. The government of Cameroon has called for dialogue, but those who've been displaced say the state has done little to stop the violence or help them. To survive, the displaced fishermen are hacking down trees. They sell the wood or use it for cooking. The few patches of free trees are being cut down just as the rainy season is about to start. Host communities accuse the displaced of destroying the environment.
If the government takes their responsibility, then we could return home.
This is a conflict made worse by a changing climate in what has become a fragile and inhospitable environment, so essential to life and yet so precious. Water has become a resource worth fighting for, tearing apart communities in northern Cameroon. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera.
Water will be the new gold. You see, because water is fastly in demand, you see. So that's going to be the new gold. And the water over here in the West, it's all, they put chemicals in and stuff like that, you know. It's not clean anymore. But over here in some parts of Africa, you still have clean water. You know, so there you have Cameroon and neighboring Chad. So that's what's happening there. And I don't really get it, right? Because if you look at Libya, for example, it used to be like one big desert, you know? And then Gaddafi had made this channel going through the country, you know, and he made an oasis, basically. So that's something these people also can do, you know. Make your own oasis. Gaddafi did it. So why not Cameroon, you know? Let's see. What else we got here? We were talking about Libya, so why not? Why not show what's going on in Libya? Here you guys go. Libya face harsh Ramadan with rising food prices. Yep. They still need a government. This is probably the only country in Africa still functioning without a government.
It's Ramadan, the holiest month in the Islamic calendar. Muslims around the world are fasting from sunrise to sunset. In previous years, it's been the busiest time for markets in Libya, but shop owner Mohammed Boumenjir says prices for basic goods have doubled, and that means business is not great.
The purchasing power for people this Ramadan is much less than before. Prices are rising every day, and that's had an impact on our business. Last year, the average customer was spending around $7 for their daily needs. This Ramadan, it's $13 to $15. Many can't afford that.
Ramadan is also a chance for family members to spend time together and share a meal to break their fast. But rising prices have made it difficult for many to meet their basic needs.
I ask that God helps us all during this blessed month of Ramadan. The situation is dire for many people due to the economic circumstance our country faces. Those with 4 or 5 kids are really struggling to feed their families.
Libya imports at least 650,000 tons of Russian and Ukrainian wheat, or about half of what the country needs.
At the moment, there isn't a shortage here in Libya, but prices for bread have increased. If Russia's war in Ukraine continues, countries in this region, including Egypt and Tunisia, may soon run out of bread. If authorities here don't act soon, Libya could face the same problem.
Akram Dribika is head of the Economic Committee for the city of Tripoli. He says the government has a 6-month strategic wheat reserve and is working to increase domestic production.
Prices for goods are soaring globally due to the Russian-Ukrainian war, especially the price of wheat. Before, basic goods like wheat, oil, rice and tomato paste were subsidized by the government, but that stopped due to the political crisis and conflict.
According to the UN, more than 800,000 people are in need of humanitarian assistance in Libya. The average income is less than $200 a month. If prices increase further, many more may find themselves struggling to cope. Maltrena, Al Jazeera, Tripoli.
So not only the Netherlands has economic problems, you know, the elderly are, you know, stealing stuff basically. They say they can't buy cookies and stuff like that. But also Libya is having their troubles. If you look at Nepal, for instance, there's a water crisis going on. Now, what did I say? Water is the new gold.
Every morning, Sanumaya Bishta collects water from these centuries-old stone taps in Dhobighat, a suburb of Kathmandu. Once a week, water is also piped into her home, but it's barely enough for her family's needs.
Many people come here and wait in line to collect water. It's never empty. It's crowded in the mornings. Some people come as early as 3 a.m.
Across the road, women pay to use pond water to wash clothes. Kathmandu's rapidly growing population is straining the city's already overwhelmed municipal water system. Most people have to buy water from tankers at high prices. The city relies on aquifers fed by monsoon rains. But as it expands and demand for water rises, they're running dry.
Kathmandu is home to 4 million people. The city requires 430 million litres of water a day. Less than half that demand is being supplied. Residents hope the ambitious and long-delayed Melanti water supply project to pipe water from the river to the city will reduce demand.
That project is run by the public utility KUKL, that's now upgrading infrastructure to protect water supplies from the Melanti River.
The target of our KUKL company is to distribute the available water equitably and without without more leakages, you see. As a network of Kathmandu Valley is old, more than 100 years, so there is a lot of problem of leakage, water leakage. That is why also we are shifting from old network to new network, which are undergoing now.
Organizations like Smart Pani are also seeking solutions to the city's water shortages.
There are very many schools in Kathmandu Valley which are struggling to manage water and provide safe water to their kids, you know. So that's why we work with public schools where there is a dire need of water and support them with an alternate resource of water by harvesting the rainwater that is falling on their own rooftop. We're just filtering it and ensuring that it can be reused.
Unpredictable monsoon rains and a rapidly growing city are clearly big challenges here, but many hope that by conserving water, they'll at least start to reduce them. Ramya Tagribu, Al Jazeera, Kathmandu.
So there you have Nepal, and let's see where it's on the map. Now you have to go to Asia to find Nepal. It's right here. There you go, Nepal. Kathmandu is the capital city. And next to Nepal you have Bhutan. Also a very isolated country. So, water is the new gold, you know. People will fight for what they think is theirs, you know. And when it comes to food, people will fight each other to the death. And it's very sad to see because all these prices are rising because of the war in Ukraine. And not only that, that's a small factor within the whole global situation. You know, there's inflation going on. It's been going on for years. Maybe like 2 decades or something like that, you know, 20 years. So there's an inflation going on, and now you have a war in Ukraine, which is, you know, the biggest distributor with wheat and bread and stuff like that. And all these other countries are feeling the consequences of it. Now, we need to stop supplying arms to Ukraine. We need to stop that. You know, we don't want this war to escalate to Moldova or Romania or Poland, or we don't want that, you know. But Putin is focused on Ukraine. It's not like he's attacking Finland or Estland or Latvia or Lithuania or, you know, those countries are also part of the NATO. And over here you have like a small piece of Russian land. You know, it's very, very odd to see. So it's right over here, you see? Small piece of Russian land. So I just showed this, but I meant this here, the small piece here. Yeah, it's still part of Russia. And a lot of people are like, why are there so many countries, in the Balkan? Well, it's because of the Balkan Wars. There were like wars going on in the Balkan. You could just search for it. Balkan War. There you go. First Balkan War, the Second Balkan War, and stuff like that. That's why there are so many countries over there. It used to be part of the Ottoman Empire, and Russia and other countries were fighting off the Ottoman Empire. So very, very interesting. Let's take a look at a video. How did the Balkan Wars start and end? Let's see.
How did conflict in the Balkans end up triggering the First World War? The Balkan Wars, a series of conflicts that occurred between 1912 and 1913, were a complex yet obscure event that shaped the history of Europe. They served as an interlude to greater events that would put Europe and the entire world into conflict. At the time, the Balkan Wars were a product of strict nationalism, which started waking up due to the diminishment of Ottoman power. As the Ottomans retreated from the Balkans, the people they left behind suddenly realized they belonged to an ethnic group. They started emulating the nationalism that had previously taken hold in the Western states, such as Italy and Germany. They strived to create large nationalist states based on the models of France, Germany, and Italy. To achieve that, the newly freed people had to fight for the territory they would control. The second half of the 19th century was a period when nationalistic thought started appearing in Western Europe. The concept of nationalism started spreading into the Balkan Peninsula from superpowers such as Germany and France. And although its initial impact was cultural, it soon transformed into a political one. At first, the new intellectual layer of society in the Balkans worked on standardizing the vernacular languages of their countries. National art and literature started blooming and spreading to those social classes that previously had no access to it. In 1804, the Serbs revolted against the Ottomans, and in 1821, the Greeks did as well. The independent Greek state and the autonomous Serbian state emerged by 1830. Montenegro had a unique form of autonomy, which started back in the 16th century simply because the Ottomans considered it remote and its people too belligerent. When the Kingdom of Italy and the German Empire attained their national unity in 1861 and 1871, respectively, they further inspired the Balkan peoples. They all envisioned the restoration of the old medieval empires on which they based their nationality. For the Bulgarians, that was the First and Second Bulgarian Empire, existing from 681 to 1018 and 1185 to 1396. For the Greeks, it was the Byzantine Empire. For Serbia, it was the Empire of the 14th century. In the last...
Oh, there you have it. You got like lots of cultures and stuff like that. That's how there were so many countries in the Balkans. So, yeah. You also had Yugoslavia, which was broken up and stuff like that. So very interesting to take a look at what's happening in the Balkans. And yeah, we're giving geopolitics, we're showing the country, telling what's going on. And yeah, not many people do this. I'm just a guy with a laptop, looking for what's happening in the world. So that's very interesting. The Balkan Wars, take a look at that. Let's see what else we got here. Project Veritas, they came out with a meeting that Twitter had, and they have like 45 minutes of the meeting. And I believe the whole meeting was 45 minutes. So, they got everything on tape. People at Twitter were flipping out, because Elon Musk bought Twitter. And let's see what Sean Hannity has to say.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight we are covering multiple developing stories. In just a moment, we'll check in with LJ Lawrence Jones, who was at the University of Houston, where he asked college students what they thought about Elon Musk and his plan to restore free speech at Twitter. Also, we have tonight exclusive Project Veritas undercover video of Twitter employees in a complete meltdown mode. And of course, for the past few years, Big Tech has played a massive role. Twitter has been arbitrarily banning conservatives, throttling accounts. Of course, we have shadow banning, blocking negative stories about Democrats. They've been protecting Democrats for years. But now Elon Musk, he's taken it over, and he's really just promising freedom of speech. And we have Twitter's liberal board. They're in a total freak-out meltdown mode. They're all worried that all their important moderation will soon come to an end, and their platform will be scary and dangerous and a place filled with opinions that they can't take and they disagree with. Now, James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, obtained audio from an internal call among Twitter employees. I got to be honest, this is priceless. As always, you decide.
Elon made it clear in public that a large part of the reason he bought the platform was because of our moderation policies and disagreements in how we deal with health. This puts Twitter service and trust and safety, as well as anybody who cares about health on the platform, in a very difficult position.
Twitter service, the role of our policies, and the capabilities we've built around content moderation are fundamental to keeping Twitter safe and growing. I believe that there is a lot of work we have to do to continue making that better.
Now, we contacted Twitter, but they declined to comment. But is anyone surprised?
So there you have it. Sean Hannity gave his 2 cents. And a lot of people at Twitter are freaking out. They're like, oh no, Elon bought Twitter. Oh, my position is going to go. And it's like, what? If you don't like the new boss, get another job, man. It's easy, Well, it's not easy to find a job, but it is easy to quit a job, Just say, yeah, I'm going to do something else, But these people at Twitter, they have power over other people. Same goes for Facebook and YouTube and all these other platforms. These people have power over you because you're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say that. Otherwise, your channel is going to be on block, But I thought the story of Hunter Biden was false. That's what they're telling me, right? And now suddenly it comes out that it's true. So basically, you're deciding what is true or false. We want freedom. That's what we want. That's what we want. Even on the social platforms, we want freedom. Freedom of speech is very, very, it's something to fight for, basically. I'd rather fight for freedom of speech than water, basically. Even though both are very component to humans. We need water. But we also need freedom of speech. We need to vent our ideas. YouTube, it's your tube. It's your channel. So who are they to decide what you want to stream? It's very, very odd to see that we think that we live in a free society, but we're not. Not in a free society. When people can think for you, you're not in a free society, right? Now, what did Edward Bernays tell us? The grandfather of propaganda. What did he tell us, right? Let's see. There you go. Edward L. Bernays. Let's see what he said. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which are the lobby groups right now, like the World Economic Forum, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we never heard of. Let's see. Largely by men we never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. Now, what's going on right now, right? You got we used to have Trump, who said media is fake. I'm not saying that they're fake. I'm saying that they're one-sided. And they only give this part of the news. They don't give the full story. You see, it's one-sided. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. Now, I was talking about these shadow lobby groups, right? Council on Foreign Relations. Yeah. We're going to take a look at that because people are like, you're a conspiracy theorist. So here you guys go. This is the website of the Council on Foreign Relations, the shadow lobby group, talking about geopolitics, what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on with the Chinese cough, and stuff like that. And these lobby groups, they decide what's good for the people. Now, people have to decide what's good for them, not some washed out politician. I mean, come on. Do I have to follow Fauci and stuff like that? Come on. No. Nope. Not me. So that's the Council on Foreign Relations. You also have the Trilateral Commission. Trilateral Commission. There you go. That's also a shadow lobby organization founded by David Rockefeller, Zbigniew Brzezinski, and Jimmy Carter. And yeah, these are also like shadow lobby groups, you know. So, and they want to decide for the people. They want to decide our future. They even had like certain scenarios, Plandopolis, uh, Plandopolis. There you go. They had like certain scenarios for the future. This is a think tank called Forum for the Future, which is a branch of the World Economic Forum, right? Forum for the Future that has like these scenarios. Let's take a look at this one here. Wait. Let's go back. There you go.
Hi, I'm so glad you're on time. I'm V. I'm looking forward to showing you around Plandopolis today. My husband works from home. He's a virtual engineer working on one of the city's desalination plants. He controls the robots who do all the important maintenance. I think he basically plays computer games for a living. You ready to go? Have you got your calorie card open on your smartphone?
Oh, yeah, you got your calorie card? Then you can travel. You know, it's amazing. It really is amazing.
I registered your visit with Slick Travel Corp the other day, so they've allotted you a journey time to match mine. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? Switch off brain and go to work. With this
Switch off brain and go to work. Yeah, that's what they want. An obedient person, you know. And as I've shown you before, right? Obsolete. You are obsolete. You know, if you don't think that way.
this many people around, I'm glad there's a mega computer in charge. We're so lucky. Our kids were allocated a school quite near my practice, so I can drop them off on the way. It saves on our calorie ration. Well, it won't be long until the little darlings get their career announcements. They've been working so hard, so I'm sure they'll get something good. Not that there's anything wrong with fixing carbon scrubbers for a living or anything. Are you hungry? Let's pop to the market as we're passing. Right, what's on the menu this month? No, not meat. It's not your birthday.
They're shoving it in your face. You see, Global Food Council. Global Food Council. Yeah, they're shoving it in your face. This is a totalitarian government, and we decide what you're going to eat. Nope, no meat today. It's not your birthday.
The Global Food Council are doing a really good job of keeping food production going. I mean, you don't get the choice you used to, but we're better off than most. I think it's probably easiest to walk from here. You barely see a car in the city centre nowadays, unless you're rich. Oh, the state knows they just aren't practical anymore. We're all trying to meet our global carbon deal. Electric bikes are so much better for getting around our neighbourhood. And why waste valuable space on car parks when you can use them to grow food? I don't care what you say, Alex. They don't deserve to live in that ghetto. They are completely disconnected. No high-speed transport system, no new internet. They miss out on jobs and many...
They are obsolete. She's talking about her sister in the freedom ghettos. This is where people don't connect to the big mainframe.
Essential services too. Oh, hi again. What a day. I had to make an emergency visit to the Cry Freedom ghettos. I mean, I miss my sister like mad, but I'm glad they went when they moved to New Amsterdam. They're safe from climate change on the floating city. That must be her now. It's much easier to meet up with friends virtually now. So many cities have banned cars in central areas. Ooh, looks like she's got some juicy gossip.
Now, what did Edward Bernays say? The grandfather of propaganda? Largely by men we never heard of, right? Now, who works at the Forum for the Future? Who works there, man? I don't know these people. Why do they decide for me which path I have to walk? Who are they to decide? 4 scenarios? Come on. Really? Who are they to decide for me which path I'm going to walk? This is a shadow lobby organization funded by the World Economic Forum, and the World Economic Forum uses these scenarios as a policy, basically. So, who are they to decide for us what we're going to do? I don't understand this. I don't understand why people just cooperate, without even thinking. Yeah, that's how a smoothly functioning society works, huh? Yeah, switch off brain and go to work. Yep. So, anyway, I guess there's a lot more to say, but that will come another day, I guess. I am going to do some other stuff. Lots of people to talk to and lots of stuff to do. So I hope you enjoyed RHTV Live, because we give geopolitics, history, and some philosophy, even though we didn't really touch on that yet. There's something I found on YouTube. Let's look at history. There you go. Bertrand Russell, which is an author, had something to say to the future generations. There you go. Bertrand Russell. I'm going to take a look at this, and then we're going to do some other stuff.
One last question. Suppose, Lord Russell, this film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time. What would you think it's worth telling that generation about the life you've lived and the lessons you've learned from it?
I should like to say 2 things. One intellectual and one moral. The intellectual thing I should want to say to them is this. When you are studying any matter or considering any philosophy, ask yourself only what are the facts and what is the truth that the facts bear out. Never let yourself be diverted either by what you would wish to believe or by what you think would have beneficent social effects if it were believed. But look only and solely at what are the facts. That is the intellectual thing that I should wish to say. The moral thing I should wish to say to them is very simple. I should say, love is wise, hatred is foolish. In this world, which is getting more and more closely interconnected, we have to learn to tolerate each other. We have to learn to put up with the fact that some people say things that we don't like. We can only live together in that way. And if we are to live together and not die together, we must learn a kind of charity and a kind of tolerance, which is absolutely vital to the continuation of human life on this planet.
Well, there you go. We're gonna go and do other stuff. We'll be back some other time. Tomorrow there's a very big protest, at least we hope so, in Maastricht, and I'll be there. Just follow Facebook and we'll go live. So I wish you a nice weekend, and we'll see each other again.